Hello everyone. So today we are going to talk about adverb and verb. So the first is adverb. How many types of adverb? There are 7 types of adverb. The first type is adverbs of time, and the use of this adverb is to describe when, how long, or how often something happens. So for the example from this adverb, they are now, soon, rarely, and yesterday. So if you use it in a sentence, it will be I called her yesterday. So it explains about when something happens when you call her yesterday. So the second type is adverbs of frequency. So the use of this adverb is to describe how often an action occurs. For instance, always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, never, etc. And if you use it in a sentence, it will be, for example, they often go to the cafeteria. So often here means how often an action occurs. The third type is adverbs of duration. The use of this adverb is to describe how long an action lasts. For example, briefly, temporarily, forever, permanently, indefinitely, and etc. So, for instance, if you use it in a sentence, it will be she explained about the assignment briefly. So briefly here is to describe how long an action lasts. So the fourth type is adverbs of manner. The use of this adverb is to describe how an action is performed. For example, quickly, carefully, happily, gently, loudly, easily, and beautifully. So for the example, if you use adverbs of manner in a sentence, it will be she sings beautifully. So if you only write she sings, then you don't know how the singing is performed. But if you add adverbs of manner, which is beautifully, then you will absolutely know how the singing is performed. So the fifth type is adverbs of place. The use of this adverb is to describe where an action happens. So for example, here, there, everywhere, nowhere, outside, upstairs, etc. So for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be they went upstairs. So upstairs here is to show where the action happens. The sixth type is adverbs of degree. So the use of these adverbs is to describe the intensity, extent, or level of an action, adjective, or another adverb. So for example, very, too, quiet, almost, extremely, completely, and etc. So for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be she is extremely happy with the result of her exam. So extremely here is to highlight the level of an adjective. The seventh is adverbs of purpose. So the use of these adverbs is to explain why an action happens or the reason behind it. So for example, there are therefore, thus, so, because, consequently, hence, etc. So, for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be he lost his key, therefore, he couldn't open the door. So how to put an adverb in a sentence? So there are 3 positions where we put adverbs in general. So the first is before the subject, and then before the main verb, and the last is after the verb and its direct object or clause. So as you can see here, the first example for before the subject position, carefully she opened the door. So here we put adverbs of manner, which is carefully before the subject, which is she. And then the second example is she carefully opened the door. So here we put it before the main verb, which is opened. So it will be she carefully opened the door. And then the last example is she opened the door carefully. So here we put the adverb after its direct object, which is the door. So we put it in the end of the sentence. And we should avoid these positions of an adverb. So the first is when you put an adverb between a verb and its direct object. So as you can see here, there are two examples. The correct one is I play violin very well, and the wrong answer is I play very well violin. So you cannot put adverb between a verb and its direct object, which is in this example, you put very well between play, which is a verb, and violin, which is a direct object. So the correct one is I play violin very well. And then the second, you cannot put an adverb between a verb and a gerund. So as you can see here in the example, the correct one is he started running quickly when he saw the police. And the wrong answer is he started quickly running when he saw the police. So you shouldn't put an adverb, which is quickly, between a verb, which is started, and between a gerund, which is running. So you shouldn't write it as he started quickly running, but you should write it as he started running quickly. So that's how you should avoid the position of adverb. Next, we will talk about verbs. So, how many types of verbs? There are three types of verbs. So, the first one is action verbs. The use of this verb is to show physical action, such as run, swim, sing, walk, and etc. So, for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be he walks so fast. So, walks here is to show physical action. So, the second type is linking verbs. The use of this verb is to explain the state of the subject, such as what it is or how it looks. So, for example, be, become, seem, look, etc. So, for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be she seems tired today. So, seems here is a linking verb. The third type is modal verbs. So the use of this verb is to express conditions such as possibility, ability, necessity, and permission. So for example, can, could, would, will, shall, etc. So for example, if you use it in a sentence, it will be she can play the piano. So can here is a modal verb that expresses the condition of ability. And then how does an adverb change or add meaning to a verb? So adverb change or add meaning to verbs by giving details about how, when, where, or how often the action is done. For example, he sings only expresses that he sings. But if you add an adverb, he sings beautifully. So adverbs make sentences more specific and more interesting to hear or read. So, can a sentence still be clear without adverbs? Yes, a sentence can still be clear without an adverb because the verb itself already shows the action or state. For example, she runs. It's already clear that she runs, but if you add an adverb, the sentence becomes more detailed and lively. For example, she runs quickly or she runs slowly. So, adverbs are not a must, but they enrich the information about how, when, or where the action is done.